They always say she doesn't care, just move on. But what if I told you the silence you fear isn't strength, it's a test? What if I told you she's not ignoring you because she's gone? She's waiting to see if you'll break first. Every pause, every cancellation, every unread message isn't random. It's a mirror, daring you to reveal whether you're still trapped, still desperate, still playing her game. Here's the truth. The moment you react, you hand her control. But the moment you hold steady, the power shifts back to you. Silence, when chosen, not from weakness, but from discipline, becomes the sharpest weapon you'll ever carry. This video will show you how to master that silence, how to flip the script so she questions everything, while you reclaim self-respect, clarity, and control. So, before we begin, hit like, subscribe to Stoic Station, your place for strength, stillness, and self-mastery. And in the comments, drop a 1 if you've fallen for the trap before, or a 2 if you're ready to master silence and hold your ground. Because what comes next is dangerous. The first trap she'll set is the simplest, and it's the one most men never escape. Let's dive in. 1. Don't give her the reaction she craves. The first trap is always the simplest, and yet the deadliest. She wants your reaction. When a woman pulls away, delays her replies, or cancels a plan last minute, most men fall into the same pit. They panic. They scroll back through old texts, dissecting every word, searching for where they might have gone wrong. Their heart races with the thought, "Did I lose her?" That panic leads to action, but the wrong kind. The kind that proves she still owns the strings. Picture this clearly. You've been looking forward to Friday night, plans confirmed, your energy set. Then an hour before, she cancels with some flimsy excuse. Later, while you sit at home, she uploads a story with her friends, smiling wide, glass in hand, making sure you see it. This is not an accident. It is a calculated move to stir your emotions, to spark the message she expects. What's wrong? Did I do something? And the moment you send it, the trap closes. The untrained mind always takes the bait. You apologize for things you didn't even do. You explain yourself when there is nothing to explain. You send double texts just to close the silence. And in doing so, you send a silent message back to her. My worth depends on your attention, and without it, I unravel. That one slip confirms everything she suspected, that you can be tested, manipulated, and controlled. She doesn't respect it. She doesn't admire it. She loses interest. Because deep down, women do not chase men they can easily predict. They only test the ones they doubt. This is where the Stoic discipline enters. The principle is simple but not easy. Do nothing. Don't react. Don't feed the game. Anchor yourself in your own values, not in her shifting behaviors. You cannot control her decisions, but you can always control your response. And sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Change your estimate, and the pain disappears. Her cancellation, her silence, her bait, it is nothing until you assign meaning to it. So the challenge is this. When she pushes, you do not fall. When she withholds, you do not chase. When she tests, you do not explain. You let silence speak for you. Not because you are weak, not because you are afraid, but because you are rooted in a deeper strength that she cannot touch. That calm refusal to play is what unsettles her most. It makes her question the control she thought she had. And this is only the beginning. Because when you stop giving her the reaction she craves, you don't just reclaim your power, you rewrite the entire dynamic. The real question is, will you keep breaking at every test? Or will you hold steady long enough for her to feel the weight of your silence? What happens next will not just test her, it will test you. 2. Your silence is her weakness. Silence is not emptiness, it's power. It is the one thing she never expects from you, because silence cannot be manipulated, cannot be baited, and cannot be twisted into a game. When a woman pulls away, she expects you to chase. She assumes you'll rush to fill the void she created, just like most men do. They text back instantly. They call repeatedly. They check her social media every hour. In their restlessness, they prove they can't endure the discomfort of not knowing. And in doing so, they hand her control. But picture this instead. She posts a photo with another man. She's dressed up laughing, leaning in close, and she makes sure you see it. She isn't doing it by accident. She's waiting for the explosion. She wants the message that says, "Who is that?" She's waiting for the flood of emotions she's seen 100 times before, but nothing comes. No text, no confrontation, no reaction, just silence. Now the script is broken. Instead of you pacing and checking your phone, she's the one staring at her screen, refreshing notifications, replaying the moment in her head. She expected control, but what she feels instead is uncertainty. And uncertainty is the seed of doubt. Psychology calls this cognitive dissonance, the clash between what she believed and what reality now shows her. She thought she owned your emotions. She thought she could summon your reaction anytime she wanted, but the silence tells a different story. That tension unsettles her, and fear begins to creep in. The longer you hold your ground, the deeper the unease grows. Suddenly, she is the one scrolling through your old texts, trying to decode your words, trying to find where she lost her grip. Instead of you replaying the last conversation, she replays it. Instead of you questioning yourself, she questions herself. Your silence has become her mirror, reflecting back her own tactics, her own fragility, her own dependence on your attention. And the more she looks into that mirror, the less powerful she feels. But silence is not passive. It's discipline weaponized. It's the ability to resist the itch to explain yourself, the craving to be validated, the urge to make sure she knows you still care. Every second you hold the silence, you are proving something, not to her, but to yourself. You are proving that your peace is no longer hostage to her behavior. You are showing that you can face discomfort without collapsing, that you can let the storm rage around you and remain unshaken. And here lies the paradox. The more silent you become, the louder her thoughts grow. What was once her weapon now turns against her. The silence she wanted to control is the silence she now dreads. Because silence leaves her with questions she cannot answer. Did she misjudge you? Are you moving on? Has she lost a man of real value? That uncertainty doesn't fade. It multiplies until doubt becomes obsession. So hold the silence. Let it stretch beyond her expectations. Because silence, in its purest form, is not weakness, it is mastery. It strips away the illusion of her control and leaves her wrestling with herself. And the longer it lasts, the more her imagined power crumbles. Silence doesn't just disarm her, it reshapes you. It turns pain into discipline, absence into strength, and doubt into a weapon that works for you, not against you. And this is where the game begins to reverse. Because when silence speaks louder than any reaction, you no longer play by her rules, you set your own. The real question is, how long can you sit in silence before she breaks first? 3. Doubt will break her first. Doubt is poison to confidence. It corrodes from within, silently at first, then all at once. And in relationships, it is often the very thing that flips the balance of power. A woman who once walked away with certainty, believing she had time, believing you'd always be there, begins to feel that certainty unravel when silence greets her games. She may not admit it at first, but the cracks are real, and they always begin with doubt. She once believed she had you for life. She assumed that no matter what she did, no matter how distant she became, no matter how long she pulled away, you would wait like you always had. That belief became her safety net, the unspoken assurance that she could test, wander, withdraw, and still return when she wanted. In her mind, you weren't going anywhere. You were the constant, the predictable, the man always ready to chase at the smallest sign of attention. But the silence you've given her breaks that illusion. At first, it shows up like a flicker of curiosity. Why hasn't he reached out yet? It's small, almost ignorable, but the human mind is restless. It needs answers. That flicker turns into a flame. Has he moved on? Is there someone else? Her thoughts circle, searching for explanations, each one more unsettling than the last. And finally that flame becomes fire. Was I wrong about him all along? Did I underestimate him? Did I lose something I'll never find again? The spiral doesn't stop there. She turns to her friends, the same ones who once laughed and said you'd crawl back. But now even they hesitate, because the silence has lasted longer than anyone predicted. They can't reassure her the way they used to. The certainty she leaned on is gone, replaced by something much heavier, the fear that she might have lost a man who refuses to live in her shadow. This is where psychology begins to work against her. Human beings feel the pain of losing something far more than they feel the joy of gaining it. This is called loss aversion, and it explains why her emotions grow so much stronger now than they ever were when she still had your attention. As long as she believed you were hers, she could take it for granted. But when the silence stretches on, she no longer sees you as part of her orbit. She begins to see you as a man slipping away forever, and that realization hits harder than anything else. And here's where most men fail. They feel the silence working, they sense her hesitation, but they break too soon. They send that text, they give that reassurance, they explain themselves when nothing needed to be explained. In doing so, they kill the doubt before it can do its work. They save her from her own discomfort, and in that act, they rob themselves of the power silence was creating. Your role is not to answer her doubt, it is to deepen it. Not through games, not through manipulation, but through self-mastery. You do not chase, you do not reassure, and you do not explain. You let uncertainty do what it does best. Expand. Every day you don't break, the flicker in her mind grows larger. Every unanswered message she doesn't receive becomes a question. Every social media post she doesn't see from you becomes a mystery. And in the absence of clarity, her imagination does the rest. The Stoics taught that control lies not in the external world, but within the self. You cannot stop her from doubting, nor should you. What you can control is your own conduct, your ability to sit in silence, to resist the urge to prove, to let time reveal the truth. That's where the transformation lies, not in what she feels, but in how you hold steady. And while she spirals, you are building. While she questions herself, you are sharpening yourself. Every day you stay silent is another day you invest in your body, your goals, your discipline, your peace of mind. You go to the gym not to distract yourself, but to rebuild yourself. You pour energy into your work, your finances, your friendships, not as an escape, but as a declaration that your life moves forward with or without her. You replace neediness with purpose, dependency with growth. That's what doubt does. It creates a vacuum in her mind, but it also frees you from the chains that once tied your worth to her reactions. And the deeper her doubt grows, the freer you become. Because she is no longer the center of your focus, you are. She is no longer the one holding control, you are. And in that shift, the entire story changes. Soon, she is the one checking her phone late at night, wondering if your silence means indifference or strength. She is the one rereading your old texts, looking for signs she missed. She is the one asking herself if she made a mistake, if she threw away something irreplaceable. The man she thought she could always return to has become the man she may never reach again. That is the power of silence carried long enough. It breeds doubt, and doubt rewrites the script. But here's the truth. Doubt doesn't just break her, it frees you. The same uncertainty that eats away at her confidence becomes the foundation of your own. Because while she is trapped in questions, you are busy living answers. While her fear grows, your power expands. And by the time she finally admits to herself what she has lost, the man she thought she knew is gone. In his place stands someone stronger, calmer, untouchable. So let the doubt work. Do not rush to kill it, do not try to comfort her, and do not give away the ground you've earned. Because in the end, the one who breaks first is not the man who held his silence. It is the woman who never expected it to last. And that shift, once it happens, changes everything that follows. And this is where the story takes its most dangerous turn, because once doubt has taken root, she will not stop at silence. She will begin to test. And the question you must face is simple. When she tries, will you take the bait, or will you finally prove that you've mastered yourself? 4. When she tests, don't take the bait. A breadcrumb is not love, it's a test. And if you mistake the two, you'll always find yourself stuck in the same exhausting cycle of hope and disappointment. When a woman feels her grip on you slipping, she rarely admits regret. Pride stands in the way. To confess openly that she misjudged you, that she lost something valuable, would cost her too much. So instead she chooses subtle tactics. She sends a vague text. Hope you're good. She likes an old picture of you. She leaves the door cracked just enough to see if you'll rush to open it. These gestures are not about reconciliation. They are about ego. What she really wants is proof. Proof that she still has the ability to pull you back whenever she chooses. Most men fail at this stage. They see a small sign of life and immediately assume it means everything. Their phone lights up, and so does their heart. They reply in seconds, pouring emotion into a simple, meaningless signal. They think this is the beginning of her return, the moment she realizes what she's lost. But it isn't. It never was. It's just a check. And once she sees you're still tethered, her curiosity is satisfied. She disappears again, not because she misses you, but because she no longer needs to miss you. The control has been restored. This is where the Stoic man separates himself. He knows the difference between shadow and substance, between a test and the truth. Epictetus once said that people are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them. A breadcrumb is just that, a tiny gesture. The meaning you give it is what traps you, and the less disciplined you are, the easier it is for her to control your emotions with the smallest signal. The answer is discipline. Don't take the bait. If you choose to respond, do it with complete detachment. Minimal words, delayed timing, no emotional weight. A simple, all good, hope you're well. Days later speaks louder than a paragraph fired off in seconds, but often the better answer is no answer at all. When you allow her tests to fall into silence, you starve the ego that feeds on your reaction. What unsettles her is not your anger, it's your indifference. And here's the truth every man needs to hear. Every test she throws at you is not an invitation to prove your loyalty to her. It's an invitation to prove your loyalty to yourself. Each moment is a chance to show you will not be pulled back into the same cycle that once owned you. By refusing to play, you force her to reveal her true intentions. If she really values you, she will move beyond breadcrumbs and make it clear through words and actions. If she doesn't, then she never intended to return in the first place. So let the test come, but don't take the bait. Every time you resist, you step deeper into strength. Every time you hold steady, you sharpen the discipline that makes you untouchable. The less you feed her ego, the more she must face the reality of losing you. And that is when the story begins to shift, because the man who cannot be baited is the man who cannot be controlled. And that is the man she never forgets. And this is the turning point, because once you master this discipline, it's no longer about her at all. It's about the power you've built within yourself, the kind of power no one can test away. 5. Detach, and you become untouchable. True strength is not found in winning her back. It's found in not needing her at all. That's the lesson most men resist, because they have been conditioned to believe their worth rises and falls with someone else's attention. They measure their value by whether she texts back, apologizes, or chooses them again. They live as hostages to external validation, blind to the truth that no woman, no person, and no fleeting moment should ever define the essence of a man. That mindset is a cage. It keeps you pacing in circles, waiting for scraps of attention, clinging to small gestures as if they prove something about your worth. You sit by your phone, staring at the screen, refreshing apps, mistaking every vibration for significance. And with every act of waiting, your power drains. You forget that your life is bigger than her silence, bigger than her approval, bigger than the story you built around her presence. You forget that a man's foundation must be rooted in himself, not in the shifting winds of someone else's choices. Detachment is the key that breaks the bars. The moment you no longer seek her validation, you become rare. You become the challenge, the outlier, the man she cannot control or predict. And it's precisely that quality that transforms regret into her shadow, because the man who no longer waits is the man who is no longer owned. He doesn't react to breadcrumbs, doesn't fold at silence, doesn't shatter at distance. He stands calm, collected, and untouchable, because his worth was never up for negotiation. This goes far beyond romance. Detachment is freedom in every arena. It means no boss can manipulate you with fear, no friend can guilt you into smallness, no critic can wound you with words. When no one controls your emotions, you control the frame. You stop being a piece in someone else's game and start playing life on your own terms. This is the philosophy of the Stoics. Epictetus lost everything yet stood unbroken. Marcus Aurelius ruled the world, but never let power rule him. They understood what too many men forget. Freedom begins where attachment ends. But how do you build this kind of detachment? Not by retreating from life, but by immersing yourself in it. You practice it daily, brick by brick. You train your body, not for vanity, but to master discipline. You grow your finances not just for wealth, but for independence. You expand your circle, not to chase approval, but to build a life of richness and depth. And most importantly, you learn to sit with silence until it no longer hurts. You allow yourself to feel the discomfort without rushing to escape it. That's how silence loses its sting, by teaching you that you are whole even when no one affirms it. Make your life too full to be shaken by her presence or her absence. Fill your days with progress so steady, so undeniable, that you don't have time to obsess over whether she looks back. Because here's the paradox. The less you need her, the more powerful you become in her eyes. She begins to see what she once overlooked, that you were never ordinary, never replaceable, never hers to toy with. And when regret strikes her, it won't be because you chased her. It will be because you didn't. By the time she regrets hurting you, you've already risen beyond her reach. and that is the victory she cannot undo. She may send messages, she may confess, she may even beg for another chance, but by then you are no longer the man she once knew. You are sharper, stronger, freer. You've become the version of yourself that no longer seeks permission to be whole, and nothing terrifies someone who once thought they owned you more than realizing you no longer belong to them or to anyone. This is what it means to be untouchable. Not that life won't test you, not that women won't come and go, not that pain won't find you, but that when it does, it cannot own you. It cannot dictate your choices or chain your emotions. You can feel it without being broken by it. That is what real power looks like. That is what self-respect feels like. So let go. Detach not as an act of revenge, but as an act of liberation. Stop waiting for her to decide your value. Stop begging the world to affirm what you should already know. Anchor yourself in the truth that you are already enough, already whole, already worthy. The man who lives by that truth is a man who commands respect without asking, who draws love without chasing, who moves through life with quiet, undeniable authority. And that is why detachment is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new one, because once you've mastered it, there is nothing left for her to test, nothing left for her to play with, nothing left for her to control. The question is no longer whether she comes back. The question becomes whether you even care if she does. And that, more than anything else, is the moment you become untouchable. And here's what you need to understand. The trap was never her silence, her distance, or her little tests. It was your reaction to them. From the beginning I've shown you, don't give her the reaction she craves, because once you do, you've already surrendered. Instead, use silence, not as a weapon, but as discipline. Let it unsettle her, let it plant doubt, let it turn her games back on themselves. And when she tests you with breadcrumbs, remember, a test is not love. Refuse the bait, and every time you hold steady, you prove something greater, to yourself, not to her. The real victory isn't in whether she comes back. It's in the man you become when you stop needing her validation. Detachment is your freedom. It's what transforms you from someone waiting for approval into someone untouchable. Because the moment you anchor your worth in yourself, no one can take it away. That's the lesson. That's the path. So I'll leave you with this. Strength isn't found in chasing her or in hoping she regrets losing you. Strength is found in choosing yourself every single time. If these words reached something deep in you, don't just sit in silence. Stand up and act. Hit like so this message finds more men walking the same difficult road. Subscribe to Stoic Station, your refuge for strength, stillness, and self-mastery. And in the comments, write this line as your mantra: my value isn't proved by chasing. Because the moment you claim that truth, you stop being the man who quietly suffers and start becoming the man who thrives, calm, disciplined, untouchable. The choice is yours, and the time is now.